Simply put, my article covers high-tech entrepreneurship in emerging economies. In particular, we're looking at how high-tech entrepreneurs acquire public financing in emerging economies.
What drew me to the topic first was a practical problem. In my travels in emerging economies, I noticed that there weren't very many private early-stage investors. A lot of the resources were still controlled by the government due to underdeveloped institutions for antitrust, regulations, bankruptcy laws, IP protection. So early-stage entrepreneurs are really struggling to raise funding.
Much of the prior understanding we have of government is how they create public policies that support high-tech entrepreneurship. But if we look at the day-to-day activities of most governments, it's not on creating new policies, but deploying existing programs.
And I saw a lot of science parks being built, but not really a lot of data on how effective they were.
And by looking at how science parks and their day-to-day activities actually help support existing government programs, and how that subsequently helps entrepreneurs acquire the resources from these programs really fascinated me.
So what we were seeing was that different types of entrepreneurs were essentially benefiting from different services.
How entrepreneurs acquire public financing depends on and differs based upon their prior experiences, capabilities, and network connections.
Those that had gone overseas for education or work experience and come back to start their companies, but they benefited more from the certification or the legitimacy that being accepted into the science park offered.
Local elites, on the other hand, who are those entrepreneurs educated in prestigious local institutions in China, such as Tsinghua University, Peking University, or institutions under the Chinese Academy of Sciences, have tremendous amounts of technical experience but do not have much business experience.
They seem to benefit more from the management training and from the capability development that the science park offered.
Finally, our article provides really important methodological advances. These not just help us ascertain the mechanisms we've just explained, but are also tremendously useful in advising other researchers trying to get into emerging economies research how to try to go about studying and rigorously collecting data in these contexts.
And so I think an implication from that is that for not just science parks, but universities and accelerators, anyone who's interested in training entrepreneurs needs to think through more whether there are different types of services, different types of training that may benefit different entrepreneurs. It's not really a one-size-fits-all solution.
The implications of future research on this topic is that, first and foremost, a need to focus more on the state, in particular how they deploy existing policy programs. Second aspect to that is also to focus not just on national government programs, but those local institutions such as science parks that have to support those programs. What are they doing to implement those programs? What could they be doing better, and how entrepreneurs could leverage them? And I think where I'd like to see the field go in general, on a more abstract level, is more field-based studies of entrepreneurship in emerging economies.
I think any instructor who's teaching a class on entrepreneurship or technology commercialization, or even classes on emerging economies or public policy, could use the findings that we found in this article.
Besides making contributions and support for high-tech entrepreneurship in emerging economies, I was able to single-handedly train over 20 Chinese students on how to conduct surveys and how to deploy these methods when we were doing our research. So I felt we made not just a lasting impact in terms of high-tech entrepreneurship, but also in building the research capital of those inside the country, which was a tremendously rewarding experience.